So today's video is going to be a little different. I'm not going to do a vlog this week because I realised recently that it's been like 8 or 9 months since I did a Book of Shadows tour, and I recently got to the end of a book that was given to me a little over 12 months ago, I think. This was a book that has been in part shown on Instagram, and then other parts haven't, so I thought I would do just a quick Book of Shadows tour today, just because this book is finished and it will now go on my shelf and probably only be opened when I really need it. So this is the book in question. So this was made custom for me by my friend Sigi The Witch. But yeah, I just thought I would go through. I'll show every page in the book, and maybe it might give people a little bit of an idea of what to include in their own books, or how things can be laid out, or you know, that kind of thing. So when you first open this book, there is a pentacle. I start pretty much every Book of Shadows with a pentacle, simply because the pentacle to me means multiple different things. As you can see, it's a symbol of the elements. It's also a protection talisman. So yeah, I always start with a pentacle in my Book of Shadows. I've then got a Book of Shadows blessing and the Wiccan read. I'm not a Wiccan, but I do feel like the Wiccan read is a good kind of starting point in witchcraft for kind of like my beliefs, you know, that kind of thing. I'm not Wiccan, but I still think that this is important for me to have in a Book of Shadows. Then the next page is just an elements chant. So this is basically just like a prayer, I guess, to the elements, just to help me use this book in a way that I really want to. Then we've got a Wheel of the Year. Again, I always include the Wheel of the Year and the Sabbats in a Book of Shadows, simply because I always forget the dates, and I always forget the correspondences and themes, and what I don't want to do is have to go through all of my books to find the information, so I always just keep a basic Wheel of the Year and Sabbats information. So I've got Yule, Imbolc, Ostra, Beltane, Letha, Lammas, Mabon and Samhain. Again, like I said, these are just short. I've not even done a full page. I've just included the date, they're also known as, and the themes, and that's about it. Then I've got my rules of magic and just a basic page on how I cast a circle, just in case I ever forget. Then I've got moon phases and how to use the moon phases in magic. I've got the Theban alphabet, or the witch's alphabet. Again, I'm never going to remember all of these symbols, so I keep them in my Book of Shadows in case I ever want to use them. Then I've got a few pages for the elements. Now, I believe I started doing the 4 elements and wanted to do them in succession, but then didn't, so they're later on in the book. But I've got the 4 elements. So I've got fire, earth, water, spirit. Yeah, so I obviously missed one. Then I've got a page about candle magic. So this is just kind of like some rules that I tend to follow for candle magic. Then I've got candle colours and their correspondences, again because I can never remember all of these colours. There's so much to remember in Witchcraft and I can never remember what colour candle goes with what kind of spell, so I've got them written down. Then I've also got my recipe for blessed water, which I usually always have on my altar. Then I've got a few pages on palm reading. Palm reading is something that I'm really interested in, but it's probably one of my lesser talents, I guess you could say. So I've written some information about palmistry just to try and basically study. So I've got some general information, then I've got the different hands, so what shape your hands are, whether they're broad and square, with, you know, broad fingers like a shovel, whether they're square or rectangular palmed. So we've got earth, air, fire and water hands. Then I've written some information about the different lines of the palm. So we've got the life line, the head line, the heart line, the destiny line, the sun line, and then the mounts, which are the fatty bits of your palm. Then I've got a page about pendulum dowsing, some information about sigils. I use sigils quite a lot, so I've basically got some examples of how to create sigils. Then I've got my natal chart, so I'm Sun in Leo, Moon in Capricorn, and then my rising is Gemini, so think of that as you may. Then I've got some manifesting mantras, so these are just when I'm doing really simple spell work or when I want to set my intention for the day. These are the mantras that I use. Then I've got a seed spell, so I think last year I used this for Ostra, but obviously you can use this for any of the spring Sabbats. Then I've got a couple of pages that are blank, that I wanted to include my favourite crystals in this book, but then I totally forgot, so this might be something that I will go back and do at some point, but probably not. Then I've got some types of witches, so I've basically done these pages simply because these are the kinds of witchcraft that I am to an extent interested in. So we've got green witchcraft, crystal witchcraft, sea witchcraft and elemental witchcraft. Then I've got some information about cloves. There was a while ago where I was very, very interested in working with cloves, so I included basically some like correspondence information and then how to use cloves in healing. Then I've got some information on the cardinal directions, so I've basically done the directions there and then given some correspondence information in there. I really like this page, it's probably one of my favourite pages in this book. Then I've got just a short history of the Pentacle. This was a page out of a book. I can't remember what the book was called, but I didn't think very much of the book, but I really liked the artwork and photography in it, so I cut all the artwork and photography out and included it in this book. So then we've got magical tools, so we've got besom, book of shadows, wands, cauldrons, bells, smoke sticks. I don't know why I wrote smudge sticks here, but please don't judge me. Crystals, candles. Then we've got a page about the goddess. Like I said, I'm not Wiccan, but I do believe in the divine masculine and divine feminine, so we've got some information about the goddess and some information about the god. Then I've got some days of the week information, so as you can see I've got the days written here and then the different symbols for them and what they were originally known as, so Sunday, Moon Day, Tears Day, Woden's Day, Thor's Day, Frigga's Day and Saturn's Day. So then I've got the days of the week and what kind of magic that they are best used for. So we've got all the days of the week. Then we've got a spell to receive divine messages. So this is actually a reworking of a spell from Moon Magic, or Moon Spells I think the book's called. It's on my shelf, but the way that the spell was written was a bit too faffy for me, so I rewrote it and included it in this book. Then I've got feather magic, so what different colour feathers mean when you find them. I've got some magical waters, so we've got moon water, Mars water and Florida water and their uses. Then we've got anxiety calming tea. Then we've got a simple good health spell. Then we've got a Bayleaf new moon ritual. Then we've got a bubble wish spell, a goddess protection amulet, a self-love mirror spell. Then we've got some Beltane ideas. So these are basically different things and ideas that I had last Beltane for things that I could do. Then we've got a self-care and healing spell bottle, which, if I remember correctly, is actually this bottle, which is still on my altar. Then we've got some signs and symbols. So these are taken from the Element Encyclopedia of Secret Signs and Symbols, which is one of my favourite books. So I put some of my, I guess, my favourite symbols in here. Then we've got a ritual to release guilt. I took inspiration from Harmony Nice with this one. She did a spell to release guilt in a video several years ago. I really liked it, so I wrote it down, and then when it came to this book I thought I would rewrite it again because I really like it. Then we've got a full moon prosperity spell, a freezer binding spell. Then we've got some methods of home protection because I tend not to cast circles very often. I like to just have my protection, spiritual and physical, around the house at all times because I do magic all around the house. Then we've got another sigil technique. This is one of my favourites. It just uses the QWERTY keyboard, so you can actually make sigils on your phone if you wanted to. Then I've got some more elements pages. I think I decided that the elements at the beginning of this book weren't comprehensive enough, so I've included more main correspondences, what it can be used for, etc. More signs and symbols. I probably read some more of the Element Encyclopedia and thought, I like these symbols, I'll include those. Then we've got a good night's sleep spell, because I regularly have trouble sleeping. Then we've got a recapturing first love spell, which I believe I did for my anniversary or something similar. But I really like this because it can be done just on your own or with the two of you. So I like this one. Then we've got 4 more types of witchcraft. So we've got kitchen witchcraft, which obviously I relate to a lot. Then we've got some hedge witchcraft. Then we've got draconic witchcraft and cosmic witchcraft, both of which I'm really interested in, but don't really incorporate into my craft very much. So then we've got earth, a love token spell jar. Again, one of these is on my altar. I gave this to my husband, I think last Valentine's Day. Then we've got a ritual cleansing tea. I like to use this on new moons or on full moons if I want to do a spiritual cleansing of myself. Then we've got some information on empaths. We've got the air page with all the correspondences. Then we've got a spell to find a job. Then we've got, again, the goddess amulet, the goddess protection amulet. I think the way that I'd written it before wasn't ritualistic enough for me, so I made it more ritualistic this time, which is why it's now 2 pages instead of 1. Then we've got some lither information, so when it is, some general information, and then all of the correspondences. So then we've got healing a sick pet. My dog and my cat are getting rather old now, so they occasionally get small illnesses, so I did this page. Then we've got some more information about candle magic, basically how to perform candle spells. I think I wrote this page when I worked out that this was what I do every single time, so I thought I would write it down. Then we've got some more, these are different, so some more candle colours and the magic that they can be used for, so I think a lot of what's written here is different to what's earlier in the book. So then we've got my recipe for black salt, evil eye removal. Then we've got a dandelion spell for wish granting, and a protection bottle spell, which we have here on my altar. Then we've got some full moon bath salts. I don't actually currently have a bath, but I use the full moon bath salts to do like foot soaks and things, so I use that then. Then we've got a negativity reflecting spell, so this is basically for reflecting negativity back to the person who sent it your way. Then we've got a knot spell to banish illness. I was really ill at the end of last year. I ended up having to have some surgery, so this ended up in this book just to record my spell. Then we've got a fire element protection spell, so this is basically a way to charm an item of jewellery or something like that with the energy of the element of fire. Then I've got another binding spell. I've got some prosperity oil, a wand wisdom spell, so this is one of those spells when you need an answer or you need to kind of find some guidance from within yourself. I do this spell. And then the last few pages of this book are just correspondence information for different herbs and spices and foods. So we've got cinnamon, vanilla, ginger, hibiscus, feverfew, holly, oranges, and then I was going to do cherries and I just still haven't finished them off. I've got a few pages at the back, but they will probably just end up filled with pages like this, so I haven't finished it yet. And then right at the back of the book there is some crystal information, just with different types of crystals. So that is my latest or most recently finished Book of Shadows. I hope you enjoyed having a flip through. If there are pages in this book that you cannot find on my Instagram, then just send me a message and I can post them. I'm more than happy to. But yeah, if you like the video, then just comment below. If you want to see a specific page, add that in the comments too. But yeah, thank you for watching as usual.